Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, and India's G20 presidency, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we are commemorating International Day for the remembrance of the slave trade and its abolition. On the night of 22nd to 23rd August 1791 in Saint Domingue, today the Republic of Haiti saw the beginning of the uprising that would play a crucial role in the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. It is against the background that the International Day for Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition is commemorated on 23rd August each year. It was first celebrated in a number of countries, and particularly in Haiti, 23rd August 1998, and Gorée Island in Senegal, 23rd August 1999. The International Day is intended to inscribe the tragedy of the slave trade in the memory of all peoples in accordance with the goals of the intercultural project, the roots of enslaved peoples. It should offer an opportunity for the collective consideration of the historic causes, the methods and the consequences of this strategy, and for an analysis of the interactions to which it is given rise between Africa, Europe, and the Americas and the Caribbean. It's time to abolish human exploitation once and for all, and to recognize the equal unconditional dignity of each and every individual. Today, let us remember the victims and freedom fighters of the past that may inspire future generations to build just societies. So this day raises awareness about the horrifying nature of the slave trade and reminds people about the transatlantic slave trade and its implications. And as we know that the transatlantic slave trade affected over 15 million people, including children, for more than 400 plus years. This day is observed in the memory of all victims of the slave trade and also inspires to promote critical examinations of such behaviors that could lead to modern forms of exploitation and slavery. The transatlantic trading patterns were established in the mid-17th century. It involved trading ships from Europe, sailing from Europe with manufactured goods to the west coast of Africa, where the goods would be exchanged for people captured by African traders. The transatlantic slave trade benefited the colonial powers of the Western Europe primarily. The slave trade brought men, women, and children who had been kidnapped, mainly from Africa, to labor them as slaves in colonial settlements in Haiti, the Caribbean, and the other regions of the world in inhumane conditions. During the final leg of the route, the ships returned home with cargoes of sugar, rum, tobacco, and other items. More than 480,000 people were enslaved in the British colonies. By the 1790s, enslaved people were forced to toil on plantations in the Caribbean and the Americas. These plantations produced products such as sugar or tobacco meant for consumption in Europe. Towards the end of the 18th century, people started campaigning against slavery, still as it made magnificent contributions to the country's economy. These abolitionists, people who campaigned for the abolition of the slave trade, were fiercely opposed by the pro-slavery West Indian lobby. These enslaved people themselves restricted the end of slavery. Resistance were the commons in the Caribbean, and the slaves in the French colony of Saint Domingue seized control of the island and was declared the Republic of Haiti. In 1807, the British government passed an act that abolished the slave trade throughout the British Empire. But slavery persisted in the colonies until it was finally abolished in 1838. International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition is observed to commemorate the uprising on August 23, 1791. In Santo Domingo, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic today, which played a crucial role in the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. So the uprising in Haiti plays a crucial role in the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. In 1791, the British government passes the act that abolishes the slave trade through the British Empire, but slavery persists in some colonies in 1807. On August 23, 1998, people celebrate International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition for the first time. In 1998, the UNESCO Executive Board adopts a resolution to invite all member states to organize events to mark August 23rd every year. So this day marks the remembrance of the slave trade, celebrates people's fight to get freedom from slavery and their efforts. The abolition of international slave trade happened on March 25th, 1807. And Haiti was the first country to ban slavery and the first country to abolish slave trade. So on this occasion, let's all together learn the history of slave trade and its negative consequences. Find out when it has begun and why it has begun and the impacts that it has created over hundreds of years. And this is a day to spread awareness about the horrifying history of the slave trade, and people know how people have fought against, which has led it to abolishment. Many countries hold various events on this day, such as seminars, webinars, plays, poetry, events, etc. Attend these events and learn more about this day. The slave trade started way earlier when the Portuguese began trafficking African captives in 1440s. Less than 5% of the people ended up in the US, whereas most were enslaved in the Caribbean or Brazil, 45% each. Even though the British abolished it in 1807. It continued till 1850, and the last known slave ship is said to have sailed in 1866. The number of persons that transported from Africa is uncertain due to lack of reliable records, although it is estimated to be 9 and 11 million. So in the late 1700s, Christians in North America and Western Europe began rallying to abolish the transatlantic slave trade. So this day celebrates the freedom of people enslaved. It also remembers and honors all the victims of the terrible practice of slavery. This day is also a celebration of human rights. This day is a proof that people eventually do get justice. This day brings people together to fight for a common goal. People come together to fight for the justice and greater good. Today is also commemorated as International Blind Dog Day, which is observed on August 23rd every year and is a day meant to appreciate blind dogs. Blind dogs are just like any other group of animals or humans with a disability. They are generally healthy and can function as optimally as regular dogs, except that they could see, use some guidance and probably expert handling to train them to be able to function despite having no vision. There are several factors affecting and determining blindness in dogs, and these range from disease to old age. Most commonly, dogs go blind from medical conditions such as cataracts, glaucoma, progressive retinal atrophy, and suddenly acquired retinal degeneration, in short known as SARDS. The history of dogs dates back to tens of thousands of years, when their primary purpose was to assist humans in hunting. Over the years, dogs have evolved from hunters to pets, companions, assistants to law enforcement and the military personnel. The earliest accepted remains believed to belong to the dogs were discovered in Germany and were proved not to be those of a ball. They dated back 14,000 years and were found buried with two humans, male and female, and their cause of death was said to be what is known as canine distemper. So the origin of domestic dog cannot be discussed in isolation from its genetic evolution and divergence from its closest extant relative, the wolf. Studies have been able to show dogs, ancient and modern, all share a common ancestry from ancient wolf, now extinct, which was a different lineage than that of a modern wolf. The ancestor of the modern dog is believed to be most likely have been the late Pleistocene wolf. The dog is a member of the wolf-like canids by association with humans for so many thousands of years. Dogs exhibit the most human-friendly behaviors of any animal, and many of their health issues are related to human nature as well. Blind dogs have existed for as long as regular dogs have. However, it was not until very recently that the care of blind dogs came to a priority. International Blind Dog Day was created to sensitize dog owners to the subject. So the dog collar was invented between 2040 and 1782 BC. The first dog eye surgery is performed in 2008, the first corneal implant procedure. In 2010, researchers at Iowa State University developed two tests, high-frequency ultrasound, in short known as HFU, and pattern electroretinography, in short known as PERM, for canine glaucoma. The first ever International Blind Dog Day was on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2017. So unlike as humans, dogs can cope up better without eyesight as they can easily depend on other sensory organs to function optimally. Blind dogs are pretty much like regular dogs, except for the fact that they don't see quite as well. They are not as much of burden as they are feared to be and can function normally with appropriate training. The Blind Dog Rescue Alliance works to rescue blind dogs and provide care for them. So we all can extend support. And this one might be a tricky if you have done it before, but if it's something you are ready to commit to, it's worth it adopting a blind dog. Go to your local shelter or contact the SPCA in your locality and find out if there are any blind dogs need adopting. Be warned, it takes work and it shouldn't be done on a whim. So unless and until you are prepared for it, don't go for it. Because again, the animal will go through the pain and suffering and abuse and neglect, and again will end up in shelter or rescue. So join the conversation online and offline. If you own a blind dog, you can talk about it and you can share your experiences so that others also get motivated and inspired to adopt more blind dogs and give them a wonderful family. Though blind and in need of a little more care, blind dogs are easily adaptable and not a burden to their owners. Unlike humans who rely heavily on their sight for primary sensory functions, dogs can cope up far better without seeing and are easily trainable as dogs who have sighted eyes. Dogs generally rely on more than just their eyesight to function and can hear, smell, and feel their way around. Blindness is not a cause for depression in dogs. They can live healthy and happy lives just as any other dog if they get support they need. Blind dogs can guard the home as long as they have other sensory functions besides their eyesight in working order. Dogs are extremely loyal and offer very valuable friendship. Hence the tag, they have been described as man's best friend. Take the leap if you are ready and get your forever companion today. Research has been able to prove that individuals who have dogs as pets tend to live longer and healthier lives than the individuals without one. It has been proven in the case of elderly people, life is prolonged with a pet around. Just as a dog with sight can provide comfort to its owner, so too can visually impaired ones. There are instances where dog adoption may be prescribed as therapy for individuals. Today is also commemorated as National Ride the Wind Day in US. The perfect blend of adventure and peace happens on this National Ride the Wind Day on August 23rd, which is exactly what taking flight feels like. We have proven time and time again that we can achieve anything we set our minds to, and that includes flying too. The creation of human-powered flights dates back as far as 1923 and successful flights as far as back as 1961. The concept has evolved tremendously ever since the National Ride the Wind Day commemorates the anniversary of the first human-powered flight to win the Kremer Prize. For a long time, the only species that could experience the weightless and peaceful feelings of flying or gliding were aerial animals. That was until humans started to crave for the same feeling, thus introducing us to the concept of flight and human-powered aircrafts, in short known as HPAs. These are aircraft belonging to the class of vehicles known as human-powered vehicles. Early attempts at the human-powered flight were unsuccessful because of the difficulty of achieving the high power-to-weight ratio. In 1909, the invention of a bicycle plane was documented. However, attempts made to fly the plane on July 30 of the same year failed. From this stage until 1961, there were several attempts at human-powered flights that never quite made full flight rounds. Some of these aircrafts were Gerhard cycle plane, Jeska human-powered aircraft, HV-1 Muffley, and Pedalnate. The first official takeoff and landing of a man-powered aircraft were made on November 9, 1961 by Southampton University's man-powered aircraft, in short known as SUMPAC, at Lasham Airfield. After the Puffin 2 flight on August 27, 1965, less successful aircraft flew until 1972, when the Woodford Essex Aircraft Group's Jupiter flew about 0.8 miles in June. The Royal Aeronautical Society's man-powered aircraft group was formed in 1959 by the members of the man-powered group of the College of Aeronautics. Its title was changed from man to human in 1980 because of the many successful flights made by the female pilots under the auspices of the society. In 1793, the industrial Henry Creamer offered the Creamer Prize of pounds, 50,000 pounds, for the first human-powered aircraft to fly a figure-of-8 course around 2 markers, half a mile apart. On August 23, 1977, the Gossamer Condor 2 won the prize. National Ride the Wind Day was set in place to celebrate that. So, to make it more gender appropriate, its title has been changed from man to human because of the many success flights made by the female pilots in 1988. So this day is to commemorate the anniversary of the first human-powered flight, which won Creamer Prize, and to live without direction or without any specific goals, or to be able to accomplish nearly limitless achievements is what is, what the ride the wind mean. The wind is the movement of air caused by the uneven heating of the earth by the sun and earth's own rotation. Today serves as a perfect day to finally take those flight lessons you have been postponing, or you could adventure, or you could take up a short trip as a passenger of a glider and enjoy all the beautiful sights. You can also see exactly what the Creamer winning aircraft looks like. This wonderful place of preserved history is an amazing sight. At Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, there are also lots of other exhibitions you can find at the Smithsonian, and they have a great online exhibits as well. So take your bike out, head to the amusement park, or go skateboarding, or run like the wind, or go water skiing. Whatever it is, do it, get the wind flowing and your heart pumping. According to the folks at JetBlue, the difference in air pressure and the low humidity in a plane's cabin make it more difficult for your taste buds to register sweet and salty flavors. In-flight oxygen masks aren't intended to last the whole flight, and the oxygen is limited. According to a study conducted at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, airplane emissions are linked to 8,000 deaths each year, while the number of people killed in plane crashes is less than 1,000. So air pollution harms more than crashes. According to 18 US Code Section 39A, if you point a laser pointer at a plane or its flight path, you can enjoy up to 5 years in prison for thinking about what you have done. So laser tag is not an option. In 2017, there was 0 deaths related to commercial aircraft accidents. By comparison, during the same year, 40,100 people died in the car accidents in the United States alone. Flying is fun. There is no denying that flying is one of the most euphoric feelings to have. We envy the birds every day for effortlessly having that advantage, and the human-powered aircraft gave us the opportunity to experience that feeling. Flying was an activity that was once considered impossible by humans. National Ride the Wind goes a step further in letting us know we can reach even the greatest heights with those impossibilities, with the celebration of one of the most impossible aviation tasks at the time. The act of flying is one a lot of people have a distinct fear or major anxieties over. Having an opportunity to break out of the fear and taking flight pushes us out of comfort zone. Today is also commemorated as National Sponge Cake Day in US. This dissident dessert was first created in the mid-16th century by an Italian pastry chef for a Spanish lord. Since then, sponge cake has become a very popular dessert. While there are many variations of the cake, one of the most popular is the Victoria sponge, named after Queen Victoria, who is said to have enjoyed a slice of sponge cake with her afternoon tea. The cake consists of raspberry jam and whipped cream sandwiched between 2 layers of sponge. Whichever variation you prefer, be sure to bake or buy yourself a cake and celebrate. So giving is as nice as receiving. If you plan on baking a cake, consider taking some to a neighbor, friend, or a co-worker. If you don't have time to bake, don't worry. Purchasing a cake to give someone is just as special as it is. So everyone loves to treat themselves to a slice of cake or 2 slices. Being able to do so without feeling guilty makes it even better. National Sponge Cake Day gives us all a reason to shamelessly eat cake on this day. But don't eat too much, taking it as an excuse. And baking has always been fun, but with shows like Cupcake Wars, Cake Boss, and other shows focused on creating sweet treats, it seems baking is more popular than ever. If you have been scoring TV shows, cookbooks, and specialty websites for sponge cake recipes, National Sponge Cake Day is a perfect opportunity to copycat your favorite chef's creations. Sponge cake, particularly Victoria sponge, is light, simple, and also sweet. It can make us feel a little classier when we eat it, especially when paired with a pleasing cup of tea in a pretty teacup. It is nice to feel a little fancy sometimes, and that's one of the reasons we all love sponge cakes. Today is also commemorated as National Coconut Week. This entire week, which starts from today, August 23rd to 30 in Philippines. Coconuts are among the star fruits in the Philippines, with the country being the second largest producer in the world. Coconuts are so important in the region that they had to form a body to govern it. The Philippine Coconut Authority, PCA in short, is responsible for all coconut production and distribution and created this holiday to recognize the benefits of the fruit to the country's economy. This day is all about coconuts. If the fact that alone doesn't excite you, coconuts makes us reflect on happier, more relaxed times because of the tropical feelings attached to the palm fruit. They are multifaceted fruit because they provide us with milk, water, and even oil. These resourceful fruits are even more important in the Philippines. Coconuts are one of the most important crops in the country, playing a major role in their agriculture and economic sectors. The Philippines are the second largest coconut producer in the world, coming closely after Indonesia. Now that we have established the importance of the versatile fruit, it should come as no surprise that there would be a governing body set in place to monitor its production. The first such body was the National Coconut Corporation, in short known as NACO, established in 1940 to promote the growth and development of the coconut industry and was renamed 14 years later. The Philippine Coconut Administration, PhilCoA, where its operation scope was further expanded. After its formation, the Coconut Coordinating Council was created to supervise and coordinate the coconut self-sufficiency program for the government. However, they still lacked a single governing body centered on the development of the coconut industry, which placed farmers as a focal point. Hence, the Philippine Coconut Authority, PCA, was established, observing all other bodies and functions and powers as a single governing body of coconut and palm produce production, distribution, and development. The PCA founded National Coconut Week to be observed with National Coconut Month under Presidential Proclamation 142 to recognize the substantial benefits of the crop to the country. So the PCA establishes National Coconut Week under the Presidential Proclamation 142, signed by the late President Corazon Aquino. The coconut tree is often referred to as the tree of life, and that is a well-deserved title. This is because all parts of the tree from top to bottom are useful and can sustain human life. Do some further research to learn more about all the uses of coconut tree. Coconuts are the major export product in the Philippines, contributing to approximately 3.6% of the country's gross value added GVA in agriculture. As of 2020, the annual production volume of coconuts sat at a whopping of 14.49 million metric tons. Large as this amount may seem, it reflected a decline from the previous year, which was valued at 14.77 million metric tons. The country reached its peak production volume for the decade in 2012 with 15.86 metric tons. So this week, we are entitled as much coconut as you can handle, whether you are eating the fruit itself or its shavings or even its candies. All that matters is that you are going cocoa for coconuts. So stock up on all your coconut snacks and treats and enjoy them all through the week. Another great way to enjoy the flavors and nutrients that coconuts give is by infusing them into meal prep. There are numerous coconut recipes available online for to get acquainted with and try. Make sure it's a hearty meal that all your loved ones can try. And don't be shy to share your creation on social media with the hashtag. As we have established, coconuts are very versatile crops. This is a great because it presents a unique opportunity to learn a new skill, making byproducts of coconut such as coconut water, milk, and oil gives you something new and exciting to learn with some beneficial products to go with it. The cocoa in the term coconut was derived because the shell was similar to a ghost from Portuguese folklore called coco. There are over 150 species of coconuts across 80 countries. Coconuts are used in the production of wooden items in the construction industry, as well as the fuel. Some time ago, coconuts were spelled as cocoanuts. Coconuts husks were burned, can be used as insect repellent, specifically for mosquito. So the great thing about National Coconut Week is that it is observed with National Coconut Month. This means that the festivities don't just start and end with this week, but are instead celebrated all throughout the August. This day is also celebrated as Cheap Flight Day. The Globetrotters marked your calendars for Cheap Flight Day well in advance. While many people associate late August with back to school shopping, cost conscious travelers look forward for this as season of discounted airfare. With kids returning to school and summer vacations coming to an end, now it's time to take advantage of end season travel deals. Don't miss your final boarding call. Check out those cheap deals today. Remember when staycattons became a thing during the financial crisis of 2007 and 2010? Despite many people choosing to stay home and be a tourist in their own city to save some cash, the rise of low budget vacationing also took off. Of course, the trend never left because who doesn't love cheaper travel? With the average vacation costing $1,200 per person, saving money is serious business. Disrupting the landscape of the tourism industry in 2005, Airbnb entered the market as an alternative for travelers to stay in homes at a typically cheaper rate than most hotels. This desire to save money holds true for the air travel, which is why cheap flight day is so popular. The beauty of air travel is that possibilities are endless. Once considered far away, unreachable places have become travel reality with the increased visibility on social media. TV channels decided to travel, and the evolution of the travel blogger pointing you in the right direction with the first-hand travel. Dozens of cheap airline websites are a click away. However, none will deliver the cheapest flight every time. So check out these recommendations. On this day, the first US low-cost carrier was Pacific Southwest Airlines, began intrastate flights between Northern and Southern California, making it the first US low-cost airline. Founded in Ireland, Ryanair, the largest European budget airline today, selling international routes for as little as $3, club membership sales and advertising not required in 1984. Travel blogs rose in popularity in the mid-1990s as social media inspired personal stories of travel and encouraged us all to dream of more unique travel destinations. In mid-1990s, Scott Keys, founder of Scott Cheap Flights, scored the best airfare of this in his life in 2013, $130 from New York City to Milan, and began sending friends updates on his cheap flight finds. So some facts, some interesting facts, shoes should remain on during takeoff and landing, as well as when visiting the restroom throughout the flight. Keep socks on and ensure there are no unique smells associated with your shoes, socks, or feet. When leaving the plane, allow anyone sitting in front of you to gather their things and exit unless first passengers sitting behind you asked to jump ahead to reach a connecting flight. Most travel experts agree that the traveler in the middle seat has first dibs on their two arms rests. The main point of this day is to book the flight. So find out where you will go, the number one tourist destination. Even though flexibility leads to cheaper travel, it doesn't hurt to have a list of your preferred destinations for quick reference. For many, the excitement of the next vacation is in the research, dreaming, and planning. So the number of online travel resources is staggering, but indefinitely helpful. Airlines now determine pricing using highly sophisticated technology and algorithms, so there are no silver bullet answers to the question, how do I find cheapest airfare? The most important factor in finding cheap airfare is to remain flexible in travel dates, destinations, airports, and routes. So flexibility is the key. While budget or low-cost carriers don't guarantee the lowest price, don't overlook them as options. Many people and online travel resources exclude them from their research. And a direct flight is most convenient route, but it is usually the most expensive. So open your search to airports in nearby countries you would also like to travel, allowing the extra stop to become a part of your itinerary. Enlist the help of a travel experts by joining one or two travel membership newsletters or clubs to receive cheap travel announcements. Studies show that having something on your calendar to look forward is a key to happiness. Anticipation energizes us and keeps us motivated. Transportation costs make up around 50% of your total vacation budget, with airfare costing more than any other mode of transportation. Where money can be saved on airfare, it can be used in other categories for your trip or simply saved altogether. Cheaper airfare puts travel within our reach. It opens possibilities to nicer trips, farther away places, and creative experiences, which means we are not missing out on our own trip of a lifetime. When Jones posts today is also commemorated as Find Your Inner Nerd Day in US, which is a brainchild of your nerdy best friend, Beth Zed, who is a speaker, author, and proud nerd. It is all about staying true to yourself and taking joy in whatever makes you happiest. And when you are doing the things you love, actually love, that means your inner nerd is happy. Beth Zed, the creator of this commemoration or holiday or a celebration, is loads of fun. A lover of holidays, she has taken her role as your nerdy best friend seriously. She specializes in making technology fun and easy to learn for those who find it intimidating, and helps individuals navigate through everyday life by integrating cost-effective apps and tools. Nerds are cool, which is why Beth Zed created Find Your Nerd Inner Nerd Day to inspire everyone to share what makes them happy with the world, whether it is knowing how to speak in Elvish or dressing your pet in cool outfits or rapping alphabet aerobics, do it apologetically or whatever you find happiness. This date was celebrated and selected because it was the date when Christopher Reeves Messina posted the tweet in 2007 that created the modern hashtag. From then onwards, hashtag Find Your Inner Nerd has served as space where people bring their unique interests, which eventually became common shared interests with like-minded people. And it is a great way for nerds to find each other and find partners to discuss their favorite fandoms and other topics to geek out about. Find Your Inner Nerd Day is also a day for those who find technology overwhelming to learn tech tips, tools, and tricks from the maestro herself. With that cutting through the nose and the noise and technical jargon, Beth makes productivity, social media, to-do list, and digital media fun through her collaborations and speaker sessions. What makes her work so relatable and effective is her exciting personality and genuine love for her work. Her programs and workshops are packed with knowledge and easy to digest factors and tidbits that are easily to integrate practically into everyday life. Today is also commemorated as Health Unit Coordinators Day, which reminds us of the important teamwork taking place in medical facilities. And why health unit coordinates are so vital and indispensable. They support the medical staff by performing a variety of roles, from checking in patients to preparing birth certificates. And without health unit coordinators, hospitals would be unable to navigate the procedural requirements of even the most basic healthcare tasks. Hospitals and other healthcare centers are massive organizations that rely on hundreds of doctors, nurses, techs, maintenance people, facilities, coordinators, and administrative staff to work together efficiently so that the hospital functions like a well-oiled machine. On a Healthy Unit Coordinators Day, remember that these hardworking folks helping to keep our health needs and information on track. At the end of the World War II, the United States witnessed huge changes to the medical and healthcare industry. Many hospitals were flooded with patients, leaving nurses and physicians with a huge workload and struggling to perform their duties to a high quality. In order to enable nurses to focus solely on a patient care, the health unit coordinators were created. These staff members have both become critical and enabled vast improvements in the functioning of medical establishments. Health unit coordinators were originally known as floor clerks, hospital secretary, ward clerk. They soon developed a permanent role with hospitals and went from just completing admin tasks to managing and coordinating the activities and units. As time has rolled out, by health unit coordinators have impacted America in an irreversible way, with 4.11 million people in the medical administrative workforce. They are the force to be reckoned on. On a typical day, they organize charts, transcribe physicians' orders, and assist the nursing station. Ultimately, they handle and juggle many duties which adhere to the running of the hospitals and medical establishments they reside in. Without them, hospitals would struggle to navigate their intricate day-to-day operations. Health unit coordinators may not always get the limelight, but their work is vital and should be recognized, which is why August 23rd is their day. An article called In Favor of Floor Secretaries is written by a hospital administrator outlining the implementation of the rule. In 1940, head of NAHUC, Myrna LaFleur Brooks, invites a group to meet in Phoenix, Arizona to discuss forming an association for health unit coordinators on August 23, 1980. So the first National Association of Health Unit Coordinators is held and the Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice for HUs are established in 1982. Health Unit Coordinator Day is expanded to a full week, August 23rd to 29th in 2017. So health unit coordinators ensure that the administrative and operational sides to a medical setting run smoothly. It can take up to 2 years. You may need an associate degree, but may be able to get into certification program 2 to become a health unit coordinator. You must also complete a short degree or certificate program once you finish formal education and gain some experience. You also have the option of being certified through National Association of Health Unit Coordinators, SEAM. HUCs can handle all telephone communications for the hospital, nursing units, and HUCs are trained to greet and listen to the concerns of requests from patients. This starting salary of HU is usually between $10.50 to $14 an hour. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics, in short known as BLS, reported that medical secretaries make an average annual salary of $37,090 a year. Out of 257 HUCs rating their job satisfaction online, 4 out of 5 of them have been highly satisfied. So our health system just wouldn't function as well without them. It is the health unit coordinators that enable our doctors and nurses to be so productive. They are desperately needed. They perform an endless list of tasks which keep all operations running. They don't always get the credit they deserve. So this day shines a light on their hard work, which does not go unnoticed. So with this, we shall conclude our commemoration for the day. The feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form before you leave the platform. Thank you for joining us. See you all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Take care. Good night with the same link.